Oh, let's see. Let's give the old pregame spread slot machine a spin and see which of our spread guys comes up. Oh, it's Alex Avila. Perfect timing to speak with the newest member of the MLB Network family, 13-year vet, former All-Star, and a dude who has either caught or faced just about everybody that's on the mound tonight. Alex, welcome. And I want to set you off with some of these guys that you know so well, a few of whom you've caught, the others you've faced. Let's start with Rich Hill. We've already talked about him. Timeless wonder, Rich Hill, who at the age of 42 is still getting dudes out. When you watch him work, is this the same Rich Hill that you caught a few years ago as Twins teammates?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much hasn't changed over the last few years. Just kind of a combination of that fastball that kind of rides up in the zone and a good curveball. And he'll change speeds on you. He'll kind of change the looks, drop his arm angle. He'll pause his delivery every once in a while if he's trying to get a guy's timing off. But he hasn't changed much. He's a dream to catch, though, because it's 2 pitches. There's not a whole lot of trickery with him, at least from my end, because the hitter knows it's either fastball or curveball. But he has that tremendous spin on the curveball, and when it's working, he can give some quality innings. But he's a lot of fun to catch. He's really animated. He's always going to be yelling and screaming in the dugout, and he's a lot of fun.
He used to yell and scream a lot when he was a Dodger when they'd pull him after 3 innings. I remember that vividly. That was fun sport, good theater. There's another guy on the mound tonight, another soft tosser that you've received. Kyle Hendricks, right? Changeup specialist, a guy who has a really good idea as to what he wants to execute. Is he a guy, because he has such a plan, is he easier to catch than others that you have to coax along?
Well, yeah. I mean, typically, his plan, he's able to execute on each one of his starts. So you really don't worry about having to change too much depending on what's working or not, because typically he's got great command and everything's pretty much working. He's got tremendous movement on that little 2-seamer. He's got the great changeup, though, to go along with that. And he's another guy for me that he was kind of easy to catch. I mean, at times when his command was on, you could catch him blindfolded. I mean, he was spot on. A lot of times he would like it when I would hold that glove right there and not move it, because it would kind of give him that visual to get right to that spot. But he's been doing it for a long time. He's a lot of fun to watch pitch because he's not like most guys now in the league. And, he does it on craftiness, being one step ahead of the hitter. And, he's able to execute a game plan. And that's, at least for a catcher, that's a lot of fun to watch.
Boy, I think you could say the same exact thing for the guy the Cardinals are running out there tonight, the veteran Adam Wainwright, who gets the Diamondbacks this evening. Not a guy who, for you, was a lot of fun. You didn't face him often, but we see 0 for 5 punch-outs. Is that right?
That's brutal. Yeah, no, I couldn't figure him out. I mean, there's obviously quite a few guys in my career that I couldn't figure out, but Adam was one of them. And each time I did face him, I was like, there were times I wanted to sit on his curveball, but then he'd throw me that cutter in, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to be ready for that cutter in, and then I get the backdoor curveball, and he'd catch me looking. And it didn't end up well for me. And I mean, he wasn't the only guy that I couldn't hit.
You're being too modest, dude. You had a great career. But let me ask you about the guy who is receiving Adam Wainwright tonight, because Yadi Molina is the senior statesman among Major League backstops. He's 39 years old. He got Kurt Suzuki, who's with the Angels at the age of 38. You're 35. And you decided enough was enough. What do you think of when you consider these guys and their advanced experience, we'll call it, and the fact that they're still out there?
Yeah, no, I'm in awe. I mean, because these guys are still doing it at late 30s. I mean, I know I was done last year. Like I could just feel it in my body. Even through like my performance, I just felt like I couldn't play to that level anymore. And those guys to be able to still do it at this level and be really productive and be keys to their team is extremely impressive. I love watching it, and I root for those guys, just because they've had great careers. They're fun to watch, and it's impressive what they're able to do physically for as long as they have been.
I've heard a number of recently retired players say a version of this. When you look more forward to your off-season fishing trips than you do spring training, you know the end is near. And for you, fishing is pretty serious business. I read about, and here's just a little sampling, I read about a story where you and some family members, I think including your dad, pulled in a 585-pound swordfish a number of off seasons ago.
You're creeping on my Instagram.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, we had an epic day a few years back, and yeah, my dad was with us. It was right after Christmas, and he calls me. He says, "Hey, when are we going to go fishing?" I was like, "Let's go fishing, tomorrow. We're going to do a little sword fishing," and that's what we ended up catching, a swordfish. And he was like, "Okay, great. I have a conference call at like 2 o'clock. Can we be back by then?" I was like, "No problem. We'll be back by lunchtime." Sure enough, we hook into this fish at around 11 o'clock, and I look at him and say, "You ain't making this conference call." And it took us about 3.5 hours or so. It dragged us about 10 miles from where we caught to where we actually landed the fish. And by the time we got back to my house, he had to try to get back on the conference call. And I would always joke with Kinsler that year, because that was the year I signed back with Detroit, that I was like, "You didn't get traded that year because he was with me and he didn't have any cell phone service and the deal fell through." And, eventually we all got traded anyways, so it didn't really matter. But, it was kind of like a little running joke for a little while.
I know your dad's addressed this because we've asked him, but I mean, what is it like when your father trades you to another team, which happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, we had fun with it, and, we kind of played around with the media a little bit, just the fact that it was, me, him being my dad and having to trade me. But, throughout that season, once he made that decision that was kind of the direction they were going, and then, first it was JD and, myself, Verlander, and, he started trading the guys to start the rebuild. We were all informed, and, my dad and I, we always kept it professional. And, I tell people all the time, it's like, we got to be in the same organization for 8 years, go to the same ballpark, have the same goal to try to win. And you don't usually get that when you're playing baseball or in the industry. So we enjoyed that, but we also had a lot of fun with the fact that he traded me. I think the story was out, like my grandmother was all over him about it, and wouldn't let him live it down, and so we had a good time with it.
Well, I know that the people who created the I still don't know if it's a GIF or a GIF. I have no idea what it is, but the GIF of you and Jack Parkman. Yeah. And I understand that was one of your nicknames when you played. This is the character from Major League and Major League 2, played by the actor David Keith, and the likeness is there, Alex.
Yeah, it's there. I've kind of had that most of my career. When we had those couple years where they had the players weekend, everybody wanted me to put that out on the jersey. But it kind of got started during the 2011 All-Star game. I was in the outfield shagging during the BP before the home run derby, and Adrian Gonzalez comes up to me and he's like, "Alex, has anybody ever told you look like Jack Parkman from Major League 2? I'm like, "Oh no, here we go again." Then all the guys were out there, and ever since then it's been Parkman ever since. And every year I would always get a resemblance, especially if comes on on reruns, or it gets played on the network here and on a Sunday night or something. I'll always hear about it that next week.
Oh, it's pretty good. Hey, we hit a lot of food on this show, and you ate your way through the American and National Leagues both. So I think you have a pretty good idea as to where we're going here, and we want to ask you some food-related questions on our hot plate. Here's the first one: best road city for dining in baseball.
I'm going to go Chicago.
Okay, can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. Best clubhouse spread? Easily
New York, Yankees.
Did that without even missing a beat?
That's an easy one.
There's not even a close second?
I really enjoyed Kansas City.
All right, fair. I like that.
We always had barbecue on the getaway day.
And speaking of barbecue, you played your college ball in Alabama, most of your big league time in Detroit, so here's a either or. For Alabama, would you choose Southern barbecue, or for Detroit, gyros and souvlaki at Greektown?
I'd go Southern barbecue.
That's disappointing. I'm not going to lie to you. Which teammate of yours was the biggest spread crusher?
Biggest spread crusher. Oh, man. Well, it depends what it was in there. I mean, if there was Latin food, Venezuelan food, Miggy would crush the arepas. Oh, man. Well, going back to Kansas City, they'd always bake chocolate chip cookies right after batting practice. And Verlander would go in and have them bake him a separate batch of cookies. So he would have 10 chocolate chip cookies on his own, and end up probably going back for seconds. I don't know, when nobody was looking.
Dude, I mean, that guy's life. He gets just all the best of life. He gets extra cookies, gets Kate Upton. Good for him, man. Way to go, JV. Alex, thanks for the visit, man. This was fun catching up with you. You're on MLB Tonight coming up in just a little bit, and we appreciate the time.
All right, Matty. Thanks for having me.